All right, Malcolm. Hey, man, welcome back, brother. It's been a while, man. We haven't talked since Best Man Holiday, bro. So I was
That's too
happy.
long. That's too long.
It,
What's
it,
up with that?
it has been too long, man, but I'm glad to be back with you again, man. First of all, before I get started, man, I wanted to tell you that the decision, instead of making a third movie and turning it into a limited series, I thought was brilliant because we get to spend 6, 7 hours with them versus a 2 hour movie. So I thought that was very, very smart. So
Thank,
congrats on that.
thank you.
So first question, man, from your first film to now the final chapter, Malcolm, what has the franchise meant to you personally? And what have you discovered about yourself as a storyteller?
Well, Best Man and Best Man Holiday were just like incredibly special. If I don't write those movies and direct them and they don't perform like they do, I would not have a career. Um, the Best Man is inextricably, tied to me, and my identity. I that there are worse things in life, to be associated with. It means everything to me. I mean, and this cast means so much to me. So yeah, I mean, if I don't make those movies, I don't have a career. I don't, and I don't have a revival of a career either. Like Best Man Holiday was like, the industry and where I was not in a great place. So having done that movie, like it changed the industry. It also allowed people to say, oh, well, not only are these actors special, but that Malcolm, the guy behind the camera, is as well. So, I think that having done that, I wanted to pay homage to the fans also, and homage to this franchise by bringing it to, the small screen. And yeah, I mean, how I've changed as a filmmaker, I think I'm just more seasoned now. There are things that I know I still stress out about. I need more time and I need to do this. But then you get into you do what you do and you say, okay, well, we'll make the most of it. And you get any room, you kind of like, oh, that's gonna be fine. That's all gonna work. So it's not to say that I won't be like that again, but it's like you learn from experience. What you can and cannot do, and what you do and do not need.
Got you. Now, how was it revisiting these characters once again with the same, especially with the same group of actors who have also evolved over time?
Yeah, you mean like look, I wanted to do it. The intention was to do a third movie, and then I had a fourth movie in my head that I wanted to make to close out the series. Once we couldn't mount that, and agree to the right budget, a limited series made sense. And so I thought, okay, we can do this. And I always wanted to answer that question. Who did Quentin marry? And we get to do that and a whole lot more with this series. And then you talk about like how people are evolving. We talk about midlife metamorphosis. It's what happens like in our midlives. Like we're in the sandwich years of like parenting our children and parenting our parents. We're trying to negotiate who we are as individuals, as a couple, as friends, and like people are evolving at different stages. And there's certain times where they're like, you know what, I don't want to be like this anymore, or I want to change this about my life. And because we're on what like my friends like to call the back nine of our lives. Hey, do we want to keep doing this, or we want to do something different? So I think we explore all those things, and I think that it's very relatable, and like just like they were when they were in their mid-20s.
Now, Malcolm, over the course of your career, I've noticed, and probably if I've noticed, everybody else as well, you developed into an extremely accomplished director of comedy films. Now, are you working in your what I call quote unquote purpose, or are you able to find the funny while developing or the stories or those stories that just basically attract you?
It's a little mixture of both. Like I I kind of fell into comedy. Didn't really like pursue comedy per se. I always want like I never considered The Best Man a comedy, right? Like that was even though some people say, "Oh, it's a comedy." I'm like, no, it's not a comedy. It's a drama with comedic moments. You know,
Yes.
it's a life movie. You know, ultimately, because you know, like laughter is a great elixir. It's a great, you know, like when you get the whole audience to laugh or react to something, you've done something kind of special. You're dialed into what they want. So I think like for me, some of the comedies I've done, I've been like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. But I want them all to be grounded, right? They want to feel as real as possible. Even something as silly as Undercover Brother, or even you know Space Jam. You still want to have some grounded relatability to the characters, right? Space Jam is a father-son story. I really wanted to talk about that and tug at those those emotional strings and keep that as the emotional spine of that movie. Undercover Brother, like, could have been a minstrel show, in the wrong hands. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like I wanted to make sure that like it was grounded, that it was staying true to like, not just black exploitation movies, but the tenets behind black exploitation movies, which was, you know, black people standing up for themselves and having independence and like, fighting back against, racism and tyranny or what have you. So, it's really like what I tend to gravitate toward. And sometimes you just gotta pay a bill. And like I gotta do that. I gotta do this movie because I ain't got no money. And I gotta do what they asked me to do. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do that. All right, cool, let's do it.
Well, you know what? I give you credit, man, because a lot of people would not admit the paycheck movie. But even if you're making paycheck movies, the movies are all relatable, and that's your word. I know you always want your movies to be grounded and relatable, and they always are for the most part. So, kudos to you for even in those situations still being able to deliver the goods that the audience still loves, man.
Yeah.
Now, Malcolm, among your close friend circle, man, which one of the characters from The Best Man would closely resemble you?
It's funny. Like a lot of people point to Harper, but I've said this from the very beginning. Jordan is a big part of me. Jordan, as somebody who's kind of headstrong and like unapologetically like reaching for the brass ring, is certainly me. There's a lot of Harper in me. As I get older, you know, as you'll see in the series, Lance as a parent is definitely who I am. You know, there's some of Merch's sensitivity that is me as well. There's no Quentin in me, I don't think. Quentin is just fun, and and he's a ne'er do well. You know what I mean? Like I'm always kind of like, okay, what's next? This. Yeah, I want to have some Quentin qualities, but my nature will not allow me.
No, I got you. Now, I heard you say it during the premiere, during an interview, that you saw this film as being the last go around for these characters. But if several years go by, Malcolm, and you got something new to say, would you be interested in reassembling the team, man, and taking one more ride?
It would. I don't know. My instinct says no. I knew with Best Man, Holiday, the sequel, that we would revisit these characters at some point. And I knew that I wanted to try to tell the story, of who did Quentin marry, right? I wanted to do that. I don't have a desire to do any of that now, and I don't see that as a real possibility. I mean, it is entirely possible that when these actors get to a much more advanced age and they're playing grandmothers or grandfathers or uncles or what have you, would I revisit? Maybe, maybe. But the way I feel right now, I have a lot more stories to tell. I know these actors do as well. So I think we should do that and leave well enough alone. I don't ever want to be in a place where, people look at the product and say, man, why did they do that? I wish they hadn't done. I wish they had left well enough alone. I don't want to be that. Like if something inspires me to do it, then sure. But there's nothing that I'm purposeful about doing.
Now, for us, man, I founded the Black Reel Awards back in 2000, and your film, your original film, The Best Man, was one of our Best Picture nominees 23 years ago, man. And to see you kind of go full circle, what have you, in addition to your own career, how have you seen the explosion of new talents, new directors, new storytellers over the course of your career? What do you think in the place we're in right now, Malcolm?
I think it's great, the fact that Ryan Coogler can make, Black Panther and then do a sequel that's highly anticipated without the titular star, and it still resonates and still people want to, engage with it is incredible, right? So props to Ryan Coogler, Dee Rees, Malcolm Spellman, who made the Captain America, new Captain America, with and the Winter Soldier and the Falcon. I'm very encouraged by all these Black creatives, and that we keep doing a varied job of storytelling. That it's not just a romantic comedy, not just a gangster movie, not just a sports themed thing like that. There's real, fantasy and horror and drama and all these things that that are mainstream movies. Jordan Peele, another one that is doing amazing work. So I'm very encouraged by it. I'm very happy that people are being diverse when they're doing their work, and so I hope that continues.
Now, I know your cousin Spike had a dream that he wanted to do a Jackie Robinson biopic that, despite the fact that Chadwick Boseman ended up doing one, it wasn't the one that Spike wanted to do.
Right.
Do you have a dream project of your own? Because you're 20 some odd years now. Is there something that you're shooting at or something you see or story you want to tell, Malcolm?
Well, there was, I was really wanting to tell the story of the 1968 Olympics. Tommy Smith and John Carlos, raised their fist to bring awareness to poverty and racism in America. And I was on the train to do that movie, but it fell apart, and that's one that is certainly is a dream project. But now it's kind of a harder movie to do, just because it had to have it resonate in the same way, because Black athletes nowadays are protesting and making their voices heard and using their platform to talk about social injustice. So maybe the moment has passed. I don't know, but that's one that I can note right now. And there's a couple others that I'm developing right now, that feel like, yeah, like if I can get this right, it's going to be really massive.
Man, all I will say on the way out to you is that watch the entire series. And if the audience has the same reaction I had at the end, mission accomplished for you, because it made me smile, Malcolm. It really did. It made me smile, man. Job well done to you. Congratulations. We do need to catch up more often than once every 10 years, bro. But
yeah, man, this ain't right. I've done some other movies, bro. So come on now.
Man, they not calling me, man. they call.
We gotta fix that. We're gonna rectify that, bro. We're gonna rectify it.
Malcolm, you take care of yourself, brother, and continue success, man. I hope to run into you soon somewhere on the circuit.
Sounds good.